Hello, folks. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. While we are getting ready to get started, if you could take a moment and go into your chat and set it to everyone and let me know, what is your current role in education, please? Welcome, welcome. We'll start here in a couple moments. Hello. Welcome. You should be here for the Amplify Classroom Intro to Activity Building session today. If you could go into your chat, please set it to everyone and let us know, what is your current role in education? Okay. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to get started, I think. Why not? We have a lot to go over and so little time, even though it's an hour and a half. I feel like I want to tell you all about Amplify's Classroom. So welcome. I've got a couple of y'all in the chat. Let's see, we've got a math teacher, third grade teacher, welcome, professional development consultant, welcome. We're going to start you in an activity, and in a moment, we're going to drop it in the chat. And what I'd love for you to do is to take a couple minutes and work through the first couple slides of that activity for me, please. So let me get you the chat, oops. Let's get you guys the activity link. And I'm going to copy that. I'm going to drop it there in the chat for y'all. And I'm going to send it to everyone. And here we go. Go ahead and join in with that link that's in the chat, or you can use the code that I put on the screen. If you go to student.amplify/join, you can type in the code ARDCQK, and does not matter if you have it in capitalized letters or not. So go ahead and join me there. Let's see how many of y'all are in here just yet. There is a link in the chat if you'd like to click on the link in the chat also. Here, I'll give you that link one more time for those of you who are just joining us. Go ahead and answer those first couple problems. Oop, I got one more person in there. A couple more y'all need to join. Welcome. There is a link in the chat if you'd like to log in. And these first couple questions should just let me know where you're joining us from, how familiar you are with the Amplify Classroom platform. Let's see, we've got a couple of y'all in there. So go ahead and you should be able to go to the second slide and then the third slide. Awesome, thank you so much. Give you a moment to fill those out. Oh, we have science teachers here too today. Oh, that's exciting.
I was super excited when I read that. I was trying to hold
awesome.
the excitement.
You should have said something, Jed.
I'm sorry, you were like, just you had a flow and I didn't want to interrupt, but I saw non-math teachers like, yeah, go.
Well, welcome, welcome. I see, do we have any more new?
The Bahamas too.
Oh, you're looking already. You're ahead of me.
The Bahamas.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Bahamas, how lovely. Although it's almost dinner time there, if not dinner time. Let's see here. Where are some other folks coming in? I'm going to move around some of my screens here so I can see everyone. Let's see here. And then people, ooh, we've got a dot all the way up here. Maybe that person hasn't joined in with that yet. And I've done a little activity building. Cool. Well, welcome. Just as you're working through that, just to introduce myself and the other folks that are on this call. My name is Kathy Henderson. I am an Amplify learning specialist, professional learning specialist, and I am a full-time classroom teacher. This is my 26th year in the classroom. I'm currently teaching middle school math just east of San Francisco in California. I have with me Jed. Jed, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Similarly to Kathy, I've been with Desmos and now also with Amplify as a specialist, just trying to help out with these webinars. But I am a full-time classroom teacher. I teach high school math in Southern California. We're both out here on the Pacific Coast ish. I'm not as close to the coast. I'm more in the inland suburbia of Southern California, but that's where we are.
Nice, nice. And Kirsten, I didn't ask you this beforehand. I don't know if you'd want to introduce yourself or if you just are going to hang out with us here.
I'll introduce myself real quick. I'm Kirsten Dean, previously classroom teacher for about a decade, a recent employee with Amplify Classroom. I'm a marketing manager and I'm here to support. Also super excited for our science teachers and elementary teachers.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, tonight I really appreciate you all joining us. I know that this time of year teachers can be super busy. I know Jed and I just got out of our classrooms within the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I know that this time of night sometimes is also really difficult because you're making dinner, you're putting your children to bed or what have you. So I really appreciate you spending this time with us. Um, I'm going to move you over. As I say to the kids, I'm going to bring you over here with me just to let y'all know what we're doing today. On our agenda is we're going to learn how to use different components to build custom activities today. So I'm going to show you how the different pieces kind of work together and how you can build your own activity builder, otherwise known as an AB. I'm going to help you create custom screens or maybe even a full activity if you want. We'll have time to build at the end. We're going to give you some resources so that you can continue your learning throughout this process. And also we'll have some time at the end for question and answering. That being said, if you have questions throughout this, please feel free to throw them in the chat. You can also throw them in the chat. Please make sure your chat is set to everyone. That way we can all see your questions and not just the moderators. Okay, what is not on our agenda tonight? Tonight, we're not going to learn about the teacher dashboard. We're going to make some assumptions about your previous experiences, and hopefully you understand the different components of the teacher dashboard when you give a lesson in Desmos. I'm not going to really go through finding and assigning activities, but I will show you some really great activities that you can sorry, it's been a long day, my mistake. You can borrow and use for your activities. We're not going to fully explore the polypad virtual manipulatives or the computation layer. We'll kind of mention them and show them to you. But if you have interest in those different other offerings, we have additional webinars that you can sign up for. Okay. Other things, oh, you know what? Let's just get into this activity. Before I do this, let me just give you a heads up here. This is a quick webinar, and there's so much I want to tell you, and it may go a little bit quickly. It may be helpful for you to have two screens with you. One screen where you can look at what I'm doing on Zoom, and then another screen in which you can work on the platform as we're going through things together. If that's too much to juggle at this point in time, no worries. At the end of this session, we're going to offer you a survey that you can fill out, and then after we receive that survey in a couple of days, we'll send you an email with a recording of this session. So that way you can go back and rewatch it if you want to try building during your own times. Okay, so let's one more time. I see we have a couple more people. Let's give them the code for the lesson. You want to jump in? There we go. Let's see, I've got 6 folks in the activity. If I look at my summary, and I've got a couple more in the group. If you're just joining us in the chat, there's a link in which you can join this activity. Okay, so for the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to ask you to take off your teacher hat and put on a student hat, okay? And think about how, as a student, you may answer these questions or do these slides as we go through this. This is not a singular activity. This is kind of bits and pieces put together. After this 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to build these different slides. So let's take off that teacher hat right now. I know sometimes it's really hard. I struggle with it. Put on that student hat. I'm going to sync you up to the next slide. So take a moment here. In this slide, we've got this beautiful scenery. And I would like you to think about, what do you notice and what do you wonder about this painting, this landscape, what have you? Okay, take a moment and do that. And I'm also going to give you another screen. I'm going to change around our pacing, and I'm going to give you the second screen, which is one of my favorite routines. It's a which one doesn't belong. So take a look at the 4 illustrations we have here, pick one and tell me which one you think does not belong with the the rest of them. I often will also use this routine as which one is the most unique, because for some of my students, the word belong is a tough word for them. So we talk about like, which one of these is more unique? Take a couple minutes and fill those in for me. Answer those for me. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, what do you notice? What do you wonder? Looks real, looks like a picture. I'm there with you. It looks like a lovely place I wouldn't mind being right now. I've got to move some of my stuff around here on my screen. Is it a sunrise or a sunset? Is it a river or a lake? Okay, it's beautiful, right? Looks very relaxing to me. And then if we look at your next question here, it's which one doesn't belong? We've got different choices here. Ooh, it's the only one without a creature. It seems the most not real. I think that's what my students would say too. Okay. So those are two of my favorite routines that I use in my classroom. Let me give you guys two more. Okay. Actually, I'm going to wait a sec. I see some people still doing number 6, and I don't want to rush you too much. Go ahead. If you're already on 6 or you finished 6, move to slide 7 for me and choose what photo you feel like does not belong or is the most unique. Oh, this is a great group. We've got like one of each choice. This is great. Okay. Now that I have most of y'all on slide 7, I'm going to give you slides 8 and 9. And in slide 8, what you're going to do is you're going to rank or you're going to order these planets to what is the closest to Saturn and what is the, sorry, not Saturn, what is the closest to the sun and which one's the furthest from the sun. And you can do so by just clicking and dragging. And then on this next slide, slide 9, we're going to celebrate different ways of thinking. And I want you to rank what you think is the least important and what is the most important. And then tell me why you made those choices. Go ahead and work through those couple slides for me. Let's see what y'all have here. Sorting. Ooh, I like these different choices. And we're getting into what do you think is the most important? And if I look at my summary page, notice my sort, I can see who has the correct answers, who may not. And number 9, there's not really a correct answer or not. So my summary page, my dashboard isn't telling me one way or another. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 more slides. I know I'm going a little fast. I wouldn't go this fast typically with students. But on the next 2 slides, I want you to take a look at how these slides are built. Okay, slide 10, it asks you to create a linear inequality that captures both points as solutions. You have a graph, and on the left-hand side, you can input your inequality and see if it captures both of those points. And then slide 11, here we go, slide 11. Let me know what you think the slope of that line is. Notice you can't move anything around on this screen. Let me know what you think about what is the slope of that line. I think all of these are important. Oh, I like that answer. Explain your thinking. Climbers must have a sense of adventure to take on the climb. Love that. Love that.
Kathy, did you want me to drop the Google Doc for the agenda in?
Oh, that would be really helpful. I'm sorry, I skipped over that. My mistake.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, please do.
I'm glad you skipped it because I didn't have it ready, but I have it ready. And now
Teamwork.
here it is.
Thanks, Jed. If you want to drop that in the chat. Thanks. So now you all have a link to that agenda. If you open that up, you can see it. I'm showing you on my screen also how this next hour and a half is kind of split up and how it's going to be built. Okay. Great. I see people. You're coming over towards slide 11. Okay. One other thing to think about, or I'll go into that in a sec. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's give you slide 12 too. Slide 12 is interesting. Slide 12 is very similar to 11, but not the same. If you look at slide 12, it says settle a dispute. Farah says that the slope is 2, and Latifa says it's 1/2. Who's correct? And you'll notice that when you click one of them, doesn't matter who you click, you can explain your thinking. When you're working through slide 12, think about how it's similar to slide 11. Let me take you back to 11 here. And how is it different from slide 11? Okay. You guys want to hop over to slide 12 when you're ready. Think about how 11 and 12 are similar but different. Think about what your outcomes are and your expectations from those questions. Great, I see folks moving. I don't mean to rush you. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 more. I'm going to give you 13, and then I'm also going to give you 14. And what I want you to look at in 13 and 14 is how you can use the sketch in those activities. So I can click up at the top and I can make points. Okay, and number 13, it's the plot 2 points that are 5 units away from point A. And then on slide 14, I want you to plot a point on the graph, label it A, and then plot 2 more that are 5 units away. And notice how you can use sketch in a little bit of a different manner. Okay. Okay. Watching folks work through here. So think about how 11 and 12 are similar, and then 13 and 14, how they're similar. You also might want to start thinking about, like, how might I use this? I know I said to take off your teacher hat, but for a second, also think about how you might be able to use these in your content areas. Like in science, like I know that these are math problems, but how in science class might you have a problem with choice, one that you can make notations on? Okay, I'm going to give you guys, I see people moving this way. I'm going to give you slide 15. Slide 15 is a card sort. And I love card sorts because I don't know about you, but as a classroom teacher, when I make paper card sorts, I always wind up at a 3rd period missing one of the cards from one of the packs, and it drives me bonkers. So I love these card sorts on Amplify Classroom. Think about how you might use something like this in a math classroom, how you might use it in a science classroom. My students currently, I teach 6th grade and I teach math, but in science class, they're learning about water. Like, how could they use this in relation to learning about the water cycle, or how they could use it in looking at different bodies of water? Okay, as more of you get closer, I'm going to give you slide 16, and slide 16 is so much fun to play with. This is a full screen polypad. You can mess around, you can move things around and see what happens. You can make things roll. You can break apart these different um, base 10 blocks. Okay. Ooh, I love how Kirsten just said in the chat, sorting states of matter. Like, that is such a cool idea. So this is a full screen polypad. You can play around and find other things here on the side if you'd like. It's a polypad playground, if you will. I see most of y'all are approaching that. It's fun to play around with these, huh? You can totally get lost. I introduce Polypad to my students and they get lost in it. They have so much fun playing. I see some of y'all are moving around your cards here. Ooh, I see some check marks. Kieran Gandhi, nice job. Trisha Jackson. We're going to keep working on this. Maybe I can check in with you later in class, right? I can see who has the correct answers here on the teacher dashboard and who doesn't. Okay. I love this. I see people move into number 16. Now, here's the thing. We're going to get into one other slide here. And it's an exciting slide. It's really fun. Can I show you all it? If you can look at my screen. I'm going to show it to you on my screen. This is called a challenge creator. And you can have one of these per activity. And the challenge creator uses a programming language that here at Amplify Classroom we use to help us make the screens do different things. And so in this challenge creator, if you click make my challenge in a moment, you're going to select an ecosystem. I don't know, let's go for desert. And when I go to the next screen, it's going to let me sketch my ecosystem. And then I can submit it. Now, mind you, I know that's not the desert. I use blue. Just play along. And then once I do that, other students in the class can see this. In this webinar, we will not be doing full computation layer CL programming, but I will give you time later on to try to copy and then paste in this challenge creator into an activity. And I'll show you some of the inner workings behind it, how it works. If you're really interested in learning CL, we have other webinars that we can offer you that go a little bit more in depth into the computation layer. Okay. I'm going to give you another minute or so to go check out that challenge creator and play with it. Why don't you select an ecosystem and draw it for me? Let's see here. I can see what people are doing on their polypads. Oh, they're making all kinds of function machines and fun things. Nice. Think about how you could use polypad for science. So many cool ideas. Okay, and then some of you are in the challenge creator right now. If I look at the teacher side of the challenge creator, no one has submitted their ecosystems just yet. If that does happen, it will pop up here. Oh, and Jed is amazing and dropped into the chat that there is a forum for computation layer topics. I hear you. I am going fast. I know. We only have an hour and a half, and I know that seems like a long time, especially in the evening. But there's a lot to go through, and I promise you that if you fill out the survey at the end, I'll send you a recording of this so you can go back and rewatch it, okay? I promise you. Okay. Okay, so we're going to pivot a little. We're going to start building. So here's the thing. You all have options right now. You can either keep watching my screen, and then when I send you the recording, you can build in your own time. Or if you have the ability right now to look at Zoom and look at a screen to build, that's an option. What I'm going to ask you to do right now is I'd like you to go to, we're going to shift, sorry, and we're going to go to learn.amplify.com or, oops, let me do this. Let me pull this up. Let me pull up this other screen for y'all. I have it right here. Sorry, we're going to go to classroom.amplify.com. And you can't see my screen, so I have to reshare it. Give me one moment here. Let's move this over. There we go. That's better. Okay, can you all see my educator home page? Can you see that? I don't know, maybe give me a thumbs up in the chat. It doesn't look like it's sharing it. Is it sharing it?
It's still only showing your dashboard.
I clicked it over and it's not doing it. There we go. How about now it is?
Yep, now it is.
Thank you. I didn't take it the first time. As I tell my students, mistakes are meant to be embraced. So I just made a mistake. There we go. So if you go to learning.amplify.com or classroom.amplify.com, you're going to hopefully have signed up for an account. Okay. And so this is my account, which welcome Educator Henderson. And from here is where you're going to build. Okay. So I'm hoping everyone's at classroom.amplify.com. Jed dropped that into the chat. I'm giving you a chance to sign in there. We're good? Awesome. Over here on the left-hand side, you have this column of all different options, okay? I want you to go to the one that looks the banner with a star on it, and it's called My Stuff. Can you click on there for me? And that pops open a screen from the left-hand side of your computer. And you have two different options. You can either go to the bottom of this and click on Create an Activity, or you can go into Custom Activities and then create an activity from there, create a new activity. So where I found that, once again, I'm at my home screen, my educator home screen at classroom.amplify.com. I go to this banner here on the left side that has this little star in it. Click there, and I'm going to use the shortcut, which is down here at the bottom of this black column. It says create an activity. I'm going to click there, and it's going to open up an activity in which I can build in. Okay. So we're going to name our activity. I'm going to call this Intro to AB, Intro to Activity Building. You can name it whatever you want, and you can always go back and rename it. I actually have like a folder of like a collection of like drafts of all kinds of things that I've written, changed the names and whatnot. You're going to decide what share settings you want. You can either have anyone with the link can view or only you can view. If you have a department that you share information with or share activities with, maybe you're going to choose anyone with a link can view. If only you are going to use it, you can just use only you can view it. Okay. Then you're going to type in an activity description. If I borrow from someone else's activity, sometimes I'll put like a little notation and a link to their activity here in this description. This is going to be a sample build for Intro to AB. Okay. Now, Amplify now has a whole range of products for different grades. The default activity style is the style that the grades 6+ use. It was the style that has been used in prior years. It's the style that I often use with my middle schoolers and high schoolers. You do have the option of having it in different styles with activities that are built for younger grades, but I'm going to go with the default style tonight, okay? And I'm going to move around. I've got toolbars all over the place. So I'm going to create a new activity, and it's going to pull me into something that looks like this. You with me here? Hopefully you are. Okay, so in this screen, you're going to notice that along the top, we have this light blue bar, right? And there's a plus sign up here. And there's already one slide kind of hanging out up there. It's always there when you start a new activity. Excuse me. We have a plus sign. And then on the left, we have the different components that we're going to use for our different slides to build. And some of the components from the polypad on upwards are partial screen components. And then you notice that here about 2/3 of the way down, it says full screen. And those components, it's going to take up a full slide. So you can't put multiple of those components on one slide. Okay. Okay, so we're going to rebuild the activity we just built. In your agenda, there is a link to the teacher view of that activity. But if you just want to follow along with me, I'll help you build it here. Okay, so we're on screen one, and screen one was that beautiful landscape. I don't know if you all remember. And I asked you, what do you notice? What do you wonder? So for every screen, I always put some kind of instructions here at the top. If you notice, it says add a title or instructions. So I'm going to say, what do you wonder? What do you notice? Now, what I love about this is that if I am trying to build something really quickly, Amplify Classroom kind of leads you in the direction that you need to go to. And you can't break it, by the way. You cannot break this, which I appreciate because I have a tendency to break things. But if you think about that slide, we had a picture and then we had a place where you could input your answer. So if you look to the left, do you see where it says media? There's this little button. It looks like a little landscape. I'm going to click media and it gives me this prompt. It either says drag an image or video here. You can put videos in these activities, which is super cool. I'm going to pull I have the landscape JPEG on my computer. It's very convenient, but I had it there. So I'm going to pull that in and there's the landscape. Okay, it's right in front of me. Now notice in the screen on the top right-hand side, you have two buttons. There's a preview button and a publish button. Okay, The preview button is going to be your friend in building, because when you hit preview, it takes you into the student view. Here's my student view of this first screen. Notice I have the picture, I have the questions, but I'm missing that input. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back into this building view. And now I need to put in a free response. Free response allows students to type their answers. Okay, so if I click preview now, here's my landscape on the left. Here is my place for my students to answer the question. Okay, now notice it says share with class. Let me go back into the editing. First off, I want a bigger picture. This picture is so pretty. I want to see the full thing. So I can move these components around on my screen. If you look at in the top of the middle of each of these components, it's what I've been told is called a hamburger. It's those 3 horizontal lines. I'm going to drag this input down below my picture. So now, oops, they switched each other. Come on, there we go. Now I have my picture at the top and my input on the bottom. Okay, so if I hit preview, now the picture's bigger and I have the place for my students to answer the question. Okay, so there's an image and a free response answer. Now, say I don't want the students to show their responses to the other kids. What I can do is there's this little box underneath, this option, a checkbox underneath the answer box. If I click that, it will show the students their classmates' responses, but I'm going to keep that unchecked because maybe I just want to see what the students know without sharing that solution with other folks. Sometimes you want to share that solution with the other kids in the room and you want them to see the brilliance that their classmates have. Here, I'm going to leave it unclicked. Okay, we have one screen down. Let's go to our second one. You ready? Now, I told you this is pretty upfront on how to build. If you look around, if I want to add another screen, there's this plus sign. And I love it because if I hit a plus sign, I now have my second screen ready. And it's a blank canvas for me. Our second slide tonight was a which one doesn't belong. So I'm going to type in the top of this slide, which one doesn't belong. Okay, maybe I want to say which one's the most unique. You choose, it's up to you. And if you want to change it later on, you can always go back. Okay, the which one doesn't belong was neat because it had these tiles that we could choose from, right? They were pictures that you could click on. That's a form of a multiple choice question. So if you look over on the left-hand side, we have check boxes, we have ordered lists. Wait a second, I see. It's gonna be check boxes. No, multiple choice, my bad. I hit the wrong one. Oops, I brought up the wrong thing. No, I did bring up the right thing. If you ever get stuck and make a mistake, you click the 3 little dots, it allows you to delete the component. But you know what? I have the right one. I clicked the right one. Okay, I'm gonna add in my 4 pictures here. And so you just go into the little landscape and I have my which one doesn't belong one here. Okay, and there's that really cool picture. It looks like outer space and aliens. Maybe I want my second option to be words. I can add an option and have it words. Okay, space. And if I hit preview, it's going to show me those 2 options. One says space and one shows the man in outer space. But I'm not going to have space. I'm going to make that another picture. So I'm going to go and pick my which one doesn't belong to. And then I'm going to hit preview. Just make sure I'm doing this right. Oh, it looks good. It looks really good. Okay, and then I'm going to add a 3rd one and then a 4th one. Okay, 3rd and a 4th. And if I preview it, I can see those 4 tiles and I can click on them, right? I can make that choice. So we wanted to, you can change this around also. If you don't want it to look like that, you can change the look of it by clicking the 3 dots. You can have it randomize the choices so that the slides are in different orders for students. You could add letter labels. If I click that and show it to you and then preview, it lists these as A, B, C, and D. You have a bunch of options to customize this, which is really neat. Okay, you can also make it check boxes or whatnot, but I feel like with pictures, you really want to see the pictures themselves. Okay, now I want my students to explain to me why, right? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just go with which one doesn't belong. We'll go from there. That's cool. So there's our second slide. So if I go into preview and I just hit a button that just reset my slides, that was fun. Sorry about that. Tech issue. Let's see here. There we are. I can go back in it. It saved it as a draft. Sorry about that. I hit the back button by mistake on my computer.
I was going to say, Kathy, that was a great teachable moment, because there's certain things of like when it's when you're like, I closed it. What happened? I didn't save it. The activity builder is pretty good at maintaining what you did last. Just go back and click on the edit draft.
Well, I appreciate that you liked my mistake, because gosh darn it, my Mac has got a mind of its own tonight.
Yeah.
Well, so it's here. And by the way, what I was going to show y'all is if I hit preview, there's my first slide and there's my second slide. So everything is there. Let's move on. Let's keep going. I know this is fast, but just hang in there with me. Here's a third slide. My third slide was a sort, and it was the one with the planets. So what I might want to do is I might want to title it just sort. And then if you look over to the left, you're going to notice that there is an ordered list. Okay, I'm going to click the ordered list. And then I want to order it from the furthest from the sun and then to the farthest. I just did both. Oh goodness, nearest to the sun. Okay, and then I want to put my items. So let's go Mercury, Venus, Earth, and then Mars. I'm just going to stop there just to prove a point. So if I hit preview, there are my options. And notice that it changed around the order, okay? Now, we had a really beautiful picture of the solar system. So if I go back into my editing here and I go back into media, I can drop an image in here. So let's find, I had the solar system image, that's there. If I go into preview, I have my solar system on the left, and the sample activity, it was on the right. You make up your mind. You have that option of moving it around, and you move that around again just by clicking on this little hamburger at the top. Okay. One thing I do want to show you is that if you click the three little dots from the ordered list, if you click use order as an answer key, say I do that, and let's see here. Mercury is not the furthest from the sun. That's the closest. Let me reorder these. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, right? Mercury, Venus, Earth. Okay. If I go into my preview and I look at the correctness up here, what I can do is I can move things around, say this is wrong. If I click my correctness button, it shows me that I have the wrong order. And that will show up on the dashboard. So you can actually get the activity to show you whether or not students' answers are correct or incorrect without using any additional programming other than using these choices from the components. Okay, so there's our sort for that. We had one other sort, but I'm going to skip that one. We had the one with the person climbing the mountain, but I'm looking at my time and I want to make sure I have enough time to show y'all everything. So just to let you know that the way that that sort of setup is the exact same way as this one. Okay, you use the same components, the same picture or media components. We're going to do slide 4. So slide 4, I'm going to once again hit the plus sign. And that was my slide. It was really interesting. Actually, here, I can pull it up here and show you. It was my linear inequalities slide. And if you notice, when I click on the graph, I can move the graph around, but nothing really happens to these points. Like, it just showed me the point values if I click on them. But those points are already in the activity. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go back into the building, and I'm going to call it linear inequalities. Okay. And the directions, and I always put the directions also up there in the title. The directions are create a linear inequality that captures both points as solutions. Okay, so there's the directions to students. Once again, you can click the preview if you want, and it will show you those directions on the top. Okay, let's see here. So that was a graph, and it was a full screen graph, right? I'm going to come down to the bottom of my components, and I'm going to pick the graphing calculator full screen. Now, full screen graphs are great to use with students because it gives them more room to work. It gives them more room to explore. I enjoy having them where sometimes I'll have pre-built components in them and sometimes I won't. This one has pre-built components. There were 2 points. So if we go over into the graphing calculator here on the left-hand side, my first point was 2, 1. So I'm going to type that in. And there it is. It just popped up on the graphing calculator. And then I'm also going to put in 4, -3. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want them to be different colors. I want them to be the same color. So I'm going to make them both blue. Blue makes me happy. So I'll click and hold, change around the color. Now, if I hit preview right now, my students can see on the left-hand side those points. And I don't want them to see that. Okay, I don't want them messing with them. I don't want them deleting them. So we're going to do something where we can have those points show up, but the students can't edit them. So I'm going to have you create a folder. And to do so, you go back into the graphing calculator and click on the left side. And there's this little plus sign here on the graphing calculator. We're going to add a folder. And I'm going to call it points. Okay. Now, with our folders, you have to drag the different entries in the graphing calculator into the folder. And to do that, let me do this. I'm going to slide. If you click and drag the folder up to the top, you're going to notice that there's this, this down arrow right here next to points. If these points right here are in that folder, there's going to be a line that drops down from my folder into that next line in the graphing calculator. So if I slide this up, it's really light, but this little line appears. Do you all see this? It's really light. That means that this point, the 2, 1, is now in my points folder. And if I grab my 4, -3 and slide it up, that line continues into it. So now if I collapse the points, they go into the folder. And if I preview this, the students can see the folder. Well, wait a sec, I don't want them to see that. I want that hidden. So I'm going to take this little option right here. It says hide this folder from students and click on it. And now if I go into preview, that folder is no longer there and they just have these pre-built points in their graph. Okay, awesome. So now that's 4 slides we're done. We've got some more. You ready? We got this. Okay, slide 5. Let's add in another slide. And this was our slope question. Okay, so I'm just going to title it slope. For our slope question, we're going to add another graph component, but this time I also want the students to be able to answer that graph component in a math input. So I'm not going to use the full graph or the full screen graph. I am going to use the graph that is right here. It's in the 4th row. And that's going to give me a component that in a moment is only going to be part of the screen. Okay. I love that Amplify Classroom tells me kind of what to do next. It says edit the graph. So I'm going to click on edit graph and it pulls me into the graphing calculator now. And I have my entries on the left-hand side that I can enter into. So I'm going to put in a line, y equals 1/2 x, let's see here, +3. That's a really beautiful line. And I'm going to make it blue because I'm in a blue mood today. Blue is beautiful. I love it. If I hit done and then I hit preview, there's the graph in front of me, but there's no ability for students to input it. And they don't have a question. They need a question to answer, right? So I'm going to put the question in a note. And a note is on the top left side of your components. And I'm going to type in there, what is the slope of this line? And then I'm going to offer them a math response. And math responses are numerical answers, okay? So if I click math response, now if I go into preview, my students have this line, okay? And they have the question and they have a math response. 3 little components, but together, that makes a huge impact on your class, right? You can check in and see if they understand slope. Another way to think of this question was the next slide after it. Now, I like, as a teacher, having shortcuts sometimes when I'm building lessons because let's be honest, we don't always have the most amount of prep time in our day to get things done. So what I love about this is you can actually copy the slide. So if I highlight the slide in the top of my dashboard here or on top of my screen, I can either click these 3 little buttons right here. I don't know if y'all can see it's on the left-hand side of the screen. If I click that, it says duplicate screen. I can duplicate the screen that way. I can also duplicate the screen using Command C and Command V. Okay, that's another one, nice shortcut. So now I have 2 screens that have the same thing. So let's change the second screen. So I'm going to make it into that dispute question. So let's say I'm going to change the top of it. I'm going to say settle the dispute. Okay. Now in that, there's a multiple choice question, right? But there was also a question on its own. So I'm going to take this notes component and I'm going to say in the notes component, Farah says the slope is 2. Now for the number 2, I like using the math type. So I'm going to click that 2. And then if I right arrow over, it pulls me out of math type and I can write a period. And then Latifa says the slope is 1/2. I'm going to use math type again. So I can do 1/2. So it makes a really pretty fraction. And then I'm going to write who is correct. Now, for me, that's a lot on one line. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually page it down so it's like one sentence on each line. Oh, and I need a question mark there. Okay, so if I preview this, right now I have a graph. I have the question, but I'm missing the multiple choice. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to delete this math input. So you just click on the 3 little buttons and hit delete component. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to choose multiple choice. And I'm going to put in Farah's name. And then if I want to add another option, I just click below it. Latifa. And how about neither? Neither. Okay. Now, if we look at this, we can see that it's a positive slope, right? And it goes up 1 over 2. And I know it's been a long day, but if I'm going up 1 over 2, I believe that's Latifa, right? Latifa's correct. I can set the correctness here in the question. Okay. What I can do is I can click next to Latifa's name. And if I go into preview, here's a correctness button. If someone clicks Farah and I click on correctness, it will mark it wrong in the dashboard. But if they click Latifa, it gives me a check mark. Okay. Now, you have the options with multiple choices to select these other 2 options. Ask a student to explain their answer, and it will automatically pop up that extra input box that says explain your thinking, and also to show students their classmates' responses. And I love, for this type of question, I love seeing the different responses because students are going to think through this in different ways. Okay. So if you compare this question with the previous question, with this just finding the slope and then settling a dispute, you might be able to get a little bit more insight on your students' understanding of the math from the second question, whereas this first question doesn't give you as much insight on their thought processes. And to be honest, both questions have a place in our classroom. It just depends on the time and the place that we're teaching this topic, right? Okay, so let's see. We've done slope, we've done settling slope. Let's do some plotting points. Do y'all want to learn about the sketch abilities? I do. Okay, so we're going to go to slide 7 or screen 7. I'm going to hit the plus sign and we're going to call this plot points. Now, this was the question in which you were asked to plot a point that was totally different than anyone else in the room. That was, I believe, 5 units from point A. Checking my cheat sheet. That was what it was. So we're going to add a sketch component in here. So look to the left. Okay. Anytime you want to draw on something, it's always sketch. So we're going to click sketch. Now, sketch comes up with a blank slate. And so we have to add something to it. So that was a graph that we had students sketch on. So if I click this background button and then choose graph, it gives me a graph. Okay. Now, if I look at preview right now, here's my graph. And then students have this whole wide variety of tools to use. Sometimes we don't want them to use all of these tools. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back into my editing. I need to give them that point in which they put the other points that are 5 units around it. So if I edit the graph, I'm going to put in the point 3, 2. Okay. Just like you would normally on the graphing calculator, I'm going to change it to blue. And I'm going to label it point A. So if I click label, I'm going to type in A, and instead of the coordinates, I don't know if y'all saw that. If I click out of here, instead of the coordinates, if I label it, it automatically defaults to giving us the coordinates. I want the students just to see that as point A. So I'm going to just type in the label. Oh, that was fun. I just did the wrong thing. There we go. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to have it as point A. I just realized what I did. There we go. Point A. Okay. It keeps putting it. Oh, that's why I have to click in the label button. Sorry about that. So there's point A. By the way, if you don't like the label directly above the point, if you click and hold this color over here, you have an option of putting the A on different sides. I'm going to make it move to the right. I don't know. My brain likes it at the right today. So if I look now, if I hit done, my students, if I preview, my students now have point A, but I don't want them to be able to draw full things on here. Okay, I teach sixth graders. You never know what they're drawing. I have to walk around the classroom, keep an eye on them. So I'm going to limit what sketch abilities they have. So if you look at the sketch screen on the top right-hand corner, like with the other components, if you click the three dots, it's going to give you options of what tools you can have the students use. As pencil, lines, math. I'm going to pick, let's see here. I'm going to have it pick math and points. So I'm going to unclick pencil. I'm going to unclick lines. When I did that, do y'all see how that points only option popped up? Let me show you again. If I go back here, I unclick pencil and I unclick lines, points only pops up. I'm going to use points only, and I'm going to give them the ability to use math. Okay. So if I preview now, notice that my toolbar is a little bit smaller. Okay. So they don't have as many options to use when they're graphing. Okay. Oh, I see some questions in the chat. Jed, do you have those?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, it is Jed. No, it is
No, it's
Jed.
just
Never
I was gonna
mind.
say like I was trying to keep an eye on it, so
It's my
I'm
fault.
just
I don't have
sharing
it
random
going at the
comments
same
when they
time.
come to my mind.
I love it. I call this move the bump. Whoa. Sketch
Oh,
has been
that's
super.
when you put something into a folder in the calculator. Like I always say, watch for when it gets bumped over by the line.
It's so true. It's so true. And if it's not bumped over, if you click preview, you can see what worked and what didn't. Okay.
Yep.
Couple last things I want to do in here. If I click preview, now my students can plot 2 points, or they don't have the direction. So you know what I'm going to do? I am going to put in a note. I'm going to ask them to plot a point on the graph. And oop, I'm on the wrong screen, aren't I? I jumped ahead. I'm so sorry about that. On this one, my mistake. Their directions are plot the points that are each plot 2 points that are each 5 units away from point A. Okay. Try to pick a point that nobody else will pick. Okay. And label your points. So if I now go into preview, the students have those directions. I don't like the spacing of those directions. Let's give them a little bit more space. That makes me a lot happier on my brain. That looks great. And students can now plot points. I know this isn't 5 units the right way, but if I just click a point there, a point shows up. And they can also use the math type and they can type in the point labels. So if it's like 5, 5, they have the ability to do that. Okay, so that's that. Let's go to another screen. We are going to add another screen. This was screen 7. Now we're going to go into screen 8. You know what? Let's copy and paste this. Do you all remember how to copy or duplicate the screen? Take a moment, think about it. We are going to either, you can Command C, Command V, which pops it in there, or right here on the left-hand side, you can click duplicate screen. Okay, so now we're at screen 8. And we're going to plot more points. So plot more points. Okay, so we're going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to go back into my sketch component. Okay, and if I click here, do you see that background? Remember how I brought over the graph from the last time? I want to clear out that graph. And a really nice shortcut is if you go into the background and click graph again, it should clear out the graph. It did. You see that? I don't have to clear out the graph, go into it and edit it. Right now it's showing it to me here, but if I hit preview, it cleared that all out for me. Okay, so that way you don't have to delete the whole component and put it back in. Okay, so I am going to use my 3 dots here, and I'm going to give students more options to draw on here. I'm going to give them pencils and lines. And what else do I want to give them? I think that's good. I'm going to give them pencils and lines. And I'm going to change my directions. I'm going to change them to pick a point on the graph and label it A. Okay. Then plot 2 points that are each 5 units away. Each 5 units away, away from point A. Okay, try to pick points that no one else will. Try to pick points that nobody else will. Okay, label your points. Okay, so if you look at this now, if I hit preview, students are able to draw, okay, and then they can label their points. So say if they wanted to pick out 5, 5, they can go into math and they can either type 5, 5 through the math, okay, or they can actually use the little pencil and draw 5, 5 with their coordinates that way. Okay, so it gives them different options in drawing and labeling and using the graphs. Okay, we're next going to build a card sort. And I love card sorts. I use them all the time in Amplify Classroom. Let's create another slide, slide 9. And in slide 9, I want you to choose the card sort component, which is a full screen component. It's down here on the bottom left. Okay, we're going to title this linear or nonlinear. Okay. And if you notice on the left-hand side, you have different card types. Okay, you have math or text, images, graphs, or geometry. And then I'll show you how to use the answer key in a moment. But that card sort component, we had both math and graphs, right? So if I type in here, we had a couple equations. We had y equals x, right? I'll do that. Let's click math, type and do y equals x. So I have that. Now we wanted to know if this was linear or not linear. So what I could do is I could create another box and label it linear. And then in the top right-hand corner, those 3 dots allow me to make that a large card. Or we could see if the students think it is nonlinear. I could give them another large card to type that in. Okay. If I now look, and I'm going to preview this just to see the sizes of the cards, check this out. If I hit preview, notice that my linear and my nonlinear cards are larger than my math card right now. Okay. I'm going to pick a couple more equations to use. Let's do y equals the absolute value of x. And I'll do one more. Let's go y equals math type. It looks prettier. Y equals x squared. Okay. And now I want a couple graphs. Let's see if they can get the graphs also linked up. So if I click graphs, it opens the graphing calculator and I can put in graph cards like y equals a half x, and that could be a card. And it popped up right here on my screen. And then I'm going to do one more. Let's do one more graph. Let's do y equals, I like 2 to the x power. That's a pretty graph, right? 2 to the x power, and I'm done. Okay. If I hit preview, here are all my cards. Okay. You can see them. What I'm going to do right now is I can now set an answer key so that Desmos knows whether or not your students are giving you the right answers. So you go to the left side and you click add an answer key, and then you go through the lesson yourself. So linear, y equals x equals linear. This graph is linear. I'm going to move these around. Y equals x squared is nonlinear. Absolute value is nonlinear. And then this graph is nonlinear. Now, what will happen is if I hit done and I preview and I have a student who says that this graph's linear and this one's nonlinear, and then I look on the dashboard or I click the correctness button, it's going to show me that the student's incorrect there. Okay, so it's setting up your answer key for you. I love how students can manipulate these cards. They can connect them together, they can collapse them, and it's great opportunity for them to be able to categorize things and think about science. Like you could do different classifications of oh gosh, what is it, like genus and species and things like that for card sorts, or for chemistry, excuse me. You could do organic matter and non-organic elements or what have you. Okay, so there is an option for card sorts. Okay, let's see here. Next, we're going to look at Polypad, and this is really cool. And if you're really interested in Polypad, make sure you sign up for another webinar, but I'm going to title this, I won't title this, let's just go to the full screen. If you look over on the left side, there's a polygraph full screen. Oh, I just did polygraph and not Polypad. My mistake. Let's delete it. Oh, look at that. I made a slide and I could delete it. Let's go back. Polypad, my mistake. Let's click Polypad. And now it's going to give me the option of full screen polypad or partial screen polypad. I'm going to go full screen polypad. Okay. Now, if I preview this, my students are going to have access to all these different categories on their polypad playground area here. Sometimes we don't want them to have all those options. So I'm going to go into the authoring and I can choose different things I want them to see. And to do that, I can click the little gear button and go into authoring mode. And it allows me to make the decision of what I want them to see. So like maybe I want to turn off the games and applications for them, okay? Or I want to turn off fractions. I can do that, okay? The other really cool thing about this is I can make the decision of what I want them to see. So maybe I put a probability, let's get some dice. We'll put some dice out there. And then if I go into authoring again, I can put in an action button that if I highlight these both, I can click on the 3 dots and under authoring, I can go down here and put in an action button. And if I pick the action, oh, let's have those roll. Let's have them randomize. And I'm off the screen a little bit. There we go. They're going to randomize. So if I preview, now when I click that button, they'll roll and they'll make a really fun sound. So I can pre-populate the screen for my students to see it. And notice if I look on the left-hand side as a student, they can't see the games, they can't see the fractions, okay? So that is all there. On the sample screen that you all completed, there were some balances. Those are available in here. I can pull a balance in here. I'm in authoring. Let me turn off authoring. I can pull in a balance scale if I want students to play with a balance scale, okay? And so that would be there pre-populated for them. So there's that. So that's polypad. Okay, last but not least was the screen that has the challenge creator on it. And I don't know if y'all remember it. It was the one, let me show you here, that was in the activity that says challenge creator. Now there is something called computation layer behind this. And I don't know if y'all know this, but you can borrow from different activities. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Can you, I can pull this up in the chat, I guess, here. I can share this activity with you. And it's also in your agenda. Can you pull up this activity for me, maybe in another screen? Okay, I have it in a separate screen from where I'm building. Okay, this is the activity we're going through tonight. Okay, if you click on Challenge Creator, you should be looking at something that looks like this. And I don't know if you see this, but there's a little icon up here on the left-hand side, and it says copy this screen. You're going to click that. You can also do Command C. And then you're going to go back to your activity in the other side, on the other page, okay? From here, Jetta,
Kathy,
did I
can you
miss
show
something?
that one more
Of
time?
course.
Yeah, just because I think, so when you're on this screen, just like slow down and show them like which one you're hovering over. Yeah.
You got it. You got it. So this was the activity that y'all walked through or that we're going through right now. Slide 17, if I click on that slide, it pops this up. And this is the challenge creator. And in the top left-hand corner, there's an icon. If I hover over it, it says copy the screen and tells me Command C. I can also just click that. And now it says, now paste into Activity Builder. So I can go back into Activity Builder and Command V, the challenge creator, into my Activity Builder. Okay, so it just copies and pastes the entire slide. And what's really cool is that everything that Amplify's built is in here. But I preview this, it looks just like how you worked through the activity, okay? Just to point out a couple of things, you can only have one challenge creator per activity. You have the choice of students responding to their challenges or not. That is turned off, okay? You also can turn off the classmates' responses being shown to everyone. Here, this last option right here is it tells the challenge creator what you're pulling from. So if you look on the left side, the first slide of the challenge creator was that multiple choice or that multiple option slide of selecting your ecosystem. If I go into that, notice that the component is named choice CC1, okay? And in the right-hand side, this HTML icon is lit up green. If I click on there, that shows me the computation layer, the programming that went behind the scenes to make the slide work. You don't need to touch any of that. That's all built in already for you for this activity, okay? But that's what that means when it lines up or when it lights up. If I go back into the challenge and I go back onto the screen, okay, my second slide was the sketch. Notice that the component is named student sketch. This is going to get pulled in, and the screen that I'm going to come back to here, notice it says that the thumbnail sketch is the student sketch. So when students preview this and they go through the activity and then whatever they sketch shows up here, that's the kind of magic, the computation layer behind the scenes. That's what it's doing. It's pulling that information into their thumbnail. And then there are other thumbnails that can show up, and those are the graph untitled. So it would be the different drawings and whatnot. Okay. For the most part, and I've been doing this a while, I like using challenge creators that are already built that I can copy and paste into the activities. And for me, that's the best route to go. If you are interested in computation layer, please, please, please sign up for that webinar, because they will spend a lot of time explaining more about what works there and what doesn't work there and how you can set that all up for it to work. Okay, looking at our time. Okay, so I want to show you one other thing. And I need you in a separate screen, maybe where you had this activity, to go back into this. Let's do it this way. We'll do it, make it a little bit easier on ourselves. If you go up into the search, I love the search bar in Amplify because it allows me to quickly look for something that I need. So I'm going to look up starter screens, starter. And if I search that, it pulls up everything that's available currently to me. Okay. And it will show me if there's activities, whatever is available will pop up there. This first option is a collection of starter screens that Amplify's already built out. So if I go there, these are the screens like the check-ins, like the world map that you saw, that's a starter screen. Or how much do you know about this activity? That's a starter screen. So what I can do is I can choose a screen. Let's say I use this first one, screens for checking in. And I can look down here and say, I like slide 4. Okay, where are you at today? If I open that in the preview in Amplify Classroom, once again, I see this copy icon and I can click on that, and then I can go back into what I'm doing. So all I did was I opened up an activity. There are these preview buttons down here at the bottom. I click on the slide I like. I can either Command C or click on this little icon, and I can go back into my activity and I can copy and paste it, and it popped up in the activity. Okay, there it is, all built out for me. Now, wait a second. Maybe I want that at the beginning of my activity. What I can do is I can click and drag that tile, that screen, all the way to the beginning of my activity, and it will renumber all of my pages for me, all my screens. And now I have that check-in screen there available to me. Okay. One last thing I do, you know what? Let's do this. Let me talk to y'all about publishing this, because that's really important. You need to know how to publish this. Sometimes I'm in the middle of building an activity and I don't want it published so other people can access it, or even it's not in a finished form that I like. So if you go in the top right hand corner, there's this drop down arrow. If you click on that, it says you can save it as a draft. So I may save that as a draft, and then it will pull back into kind of this introduction screen. Now notice it says I only have one screen here. If you open up the draft, there's way more screens involved. Okay, so don't be alarmed when you see that. The screens are there. It's just a draft, so it's not going to show you it. If I show you that again, save draft, it's not going to show it down here in the previews until you publish it. Okay, so if I go into edit draft again, it pulls me back into the editing mode. Okay, well, say I think this is ready to go. I'm going to get this ready. I'm going to use it in my class tomorrow. I can hit publish. And now it takes me back into the screen. There's my title, Intro to Activity Builder. And here are all my slides. Okay. Say I realize, you know what? I misspelled a word, because I'm really good at doing that. I miss a letter at the end. If you go here on the top right-hand corner, there are these 3 dots. If you click there, you can edit your activity. Okay. You can also edit editors. So if you have a colleague at work who is also maybe working on something similar to you, you can add them to this activity as an editor, and they will have co-editing rights. But I'm going to go back into my editing, and I want to show you just one last thing. Say I don't like the title of my activity. I can look in the top left-hand screen, and there's the name of it. If I click there, it opens this page up for me. And maybe I want to call it Activity Builder. I don't know. Activity Builder. And I also want my students to have the ability to use a calculator on this activity. If you look down here at the bottom of the screen, it says enable calculator on student screens. If I click that, I have the option of what calculator I want them to have access to for all of the activities. So they have a for function of scientific or graphing. Scientific is the default. One other thing for those of you who are working specifically more with like trigonometry and geometry, you have the option of building the activity in radians or degrees, and you can toggle that. That's just a toggle. Okay. So I'm going to hit save and I'm going to hit publish, and now my activity is ready. Okay. Now, I don't know about you all, but I never have time during the day to build a brand new activity and like launch it that same day. But what if I start thinking about my students and I'm like, wait a second, they're struggling with a topic and I want to find an activity that Amplify Classroom has already built out and I just want to edit it on my own. I can do that. So there's an activity that I love. It's like one of the original activities that I used to use in my classroom. It's called Land the Plane. And it has to deal with linear equations. So if you do a search, once again, I said the search engine is amazing. It popped right up. It's a Desmos classic. If I click into this, it's a great activity, okay? It's a little short. There's a really cool class challenge creator in it. But say I wanna put, I don't know, an introduction or a review problem at the beginning. I can go into this activity, go to the top, those three little dots are magical in this platform. They offer you all kinds of options. So if I click there, I can say copy and edit. If I click that, it allows me to edit the activity and I can delete slides if I want. I can add slides, like say I want to put in, I don't know, I can put in that where are you at today? I just happen to have that still in my, it was on my, what do they call it? The notepad or whatever. I could do Command V and it popped up. I could add that to the activity and then launch that with my students. And I'm going to publish it. And now I can use that in my classroom, like immediately. It's ready to go. I can assign it. Okay, so that is another option. You don't have to build full activities on your own. You can always edit other people's activities. Okay, so I'm looking at my time here. Holy cannoli. Here's what we're going to do. I want to give you guys some time to build, and I want to give you resources. So I'm going to switch screens. I'm going to go back to the activity. Okay, hopefully that just popped that up for y'all. Okay, so now you can see this screen again. I'm going to add to the activity that we started on a resource, some resources. Okay, so there's a help article on getting started with Activity Builder. If you open that, it will take you to the amazing help pages. Here's a collection of the starter screens that I showed you earlier. Here's a more advanced sample of a challenge creator. You can copy and edit screens from this webinar. Here's a link to it. And there's some more options for you, more resources to help you build out and Amplify Classroom. What I would like to do is right now it's time for you all to play and build screens, okay? I know time is precious, and if you'd like to stay with us, stay for like the next 15 minutes, maybe we'll build for 10 minutes and then I'll close up the webinar. If you are going to leave now, please don't leave just yet. I'm gonna give you all, this is our workshop time, by the way, this is the time to explore and whatnot, but I'm also gonna give you the option, okay? If you do need to go now, there's some more resources, okay? There's an incredible classroom newsletter. There's a Facebook group, and there's also some social media links. But this last one, if you need to go now, please fill out the survey. Okay, mind you, we are staying here and we're going to build. But if you need to go now, please fill out the survey. We'll send you a link to a recording of this and more resources. But I hope you'll stay around. We're here to answer questions for maybe the next 10 to 15 minutes. If you'd like to start building an activity, we'd love to give you a little bit of feedback or what have you. Okay. And also, as Jed put in the chat, the agenda link also has some items for you, some resources. Okay, and he did mention challenge creators are not the easiest to build from scratch. That's why it's so wonderful to be able to build those, use the ones that are pre-built. Okay, so right now, if you'd like to take a little bit of time, practice copying and editing. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. And we're here just to help you out for the next 15 minutes. Okay, I love these links are awesome. In fact, I haven't even looked at the States of Matter one. I'm excited to get into that and share it with our science teachers here at school. So go ahead and try and play around with this. Consider some activities, maybe search and look for activities you might be able to use, if not this week, because it's almost that Friday, maybe next week in class. Maybe you could edit them, have a check-in screen or a summary screen at the end. Okay,
Hey, Kathy.
what's up?
I noticed because I think you had talked about this before when you were prepping for the session, that the Google form survey that you have in the activity is different than the one that's in the agenda.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Kirsten, what is the best survey link for them to use?
Let me check. I didn't realize those were different. Let me look.
Thank you, Jed, for the notice there.
I think they're different, but it's hard to tell.
Let's see here. Let's see. This is the survey.
Yours ends
Oh,
in like 3I9A.
so this is the PLS one. And then if we go into the chat for the agenda, let's see here. The agenda one, this survey and the agenda.
I think they have different codes, but they are both going to the same
They're both
space.
valid. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Cool, thanks.
And they're
Thank
not
you.
like restricted to Amplify. Let me test that real quick. Okay, yeah, it opens up in like a personal window as well. Okay, just
Perfect.
want to make sure.
Thank you. Of course. Thanks, Jed.
What other questions do folks have? I know this seems that it was quick and it was kind of fast and it's later in the evening for some of y'all. For some of y'all, it's downright nighttime.
I'll comment just on somebody who's been around and built a lot of activities.
Sure.
Just as an encouragement to others, because people might be thinking like, what question do I have? I don't know what question I have. I'll say for every one activity I've built from scratch, I've done more of this copy paste remix on probably 50 activities. It's super rare to build 100% from scratch, but it is very common to remix, copy paste, do some modifications, or take half from one activity, half from another.
Right.
So those
especially in between classes. I don't know if you've ever done a lesson where you're like, "Ooh, that didn't go the way I thought," and so you quickly kind of rebuild part of a lesson, throw in a question maybe. I'm notorious for throwing in like different warm-ups or do now questions at the beginning that I've borrowed from other people. Because there are so
especially
many
when you
different
notice that
activities
you
out there.
needed something from the end of another day, that whole like activate prior knowledge. If it's not hard to go and grab that thing from the prior lesson, copy and paste it into your early slides and say, remember how we did this? Let's take a look at it again.
Exactly. I love that. Or also like for Halloween, I decided to throw in a couple like Halloween type of themed slides into my lesson. So that way we could start off with like a which one doesn't belong with candy or which one has to go. And then I ended it with I created a marble slide, which is another fun activity that my sixth graders was approachable for them. So I threw that in at the end of the lesson if they finished the lesson a little bit early. So it allowed me to add in a little bit of festive activities for them on the Friday of Halloween. That was after we learned common factors.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the kids enjoy it. They definitely enjoy it. Are folks able to access what they need? Are you having any questions about the components? What's really neat with the components is you have so many options. The geometry tools are now there. You do have Polygraph, which I mistakenly brought up. Polygraph is like a guess who's game with students, which my students adore. They have so much fun with it. So we just did one with polyhedrons. I built out an activity where it was a polygraph game with different types of polyhedrons, and they had to guess the polyhedrons before they knew the proper math terminology for them. How are folks doing? I also do want to just reiterate that the Amplify Classroom Facebook group is a great group. It's very supportive. A lot of folks are active, sharing activities, collaborating on ideas. I love it looking there when people are like, hey, who has a lesson for this topic? And people jump on there and like, hey, I have this, and people share their ideas and thoughts. And this is a great opportunity. Like if someone shares an activity, then you can make it your own by editing it and remixing it, as Jen said. I love that idea of a remix.
It also, one thing I love that Desmos and Amplify did, not at the beginning, but they eventually got it in there, was it will attribute your previous authors for you. So if you copy and paste or make a copy of an activity from somebody, a copy of a full activity, and you just remix it, it'll actually show who, there it goes, based on work from
Exactly.
Desmos support.
So Kirsten's made some edits, and the original person was the Desmos support person. Yeah, and I also love the new search. Like if I look up linear equations, it will let me see. Now, mind you, I don't have many things on this account that I'm using, but it lets me see like how many different activities are there by Amplify, and then are there any activities of my own? I did forget to tell you all. Oh goodness, how do you access the thing you just built? You go back into this banner with the star to your stuff, and it'll be under custom activities, and it all should be there. When I got knocked out of my other activity, it was there waiting for me. I'm on a different account now, but so that is there for you, and then it will also show up in your recently visited. So now the activity that I just showed you all is there, and then I can jump back into it. Okay. Feel free to drop questions in that chat. Make me do my job and answer questions. I always tell the students, make me do my job. Ask me lots of good questions. If you ever get stuck and need help also, it's in the resources here. The support, it was on this first group of resources. The support at Amplify is excited to answer questions and help folks out. So always feel free to reach out there. And there are more webinars coming up. I believe there's a Polypad webinar coming up, and there's a computation layer webinar coming up, and they're all free. So make sure you sign up for those. We've got 8 students in the activity still. How are we doing?
I'm one of them, but yeah.
You're one of them? Yay, I
Yeah.
think Kirsten is too. I don't know if you don't have any questions, I know it's still a couple minutes till the end of this, and we will stay here until you are ready
There's
to go.
one question that just popped up.
Oh,
So Amanda Ruth said, how can we get back to the activity that you presented today? So in the Google Doc, there's a couple ways. There is a direct link that was shared here in the chat, but I would say use that Google Doc agenda, because you could make a copy of the Google Doc if you have a Google account. And in the resource links towards the bottom is a link to the activity itself. Can you pull up the agenda and we can highlight where?
yep, I got it right here.
Perfect.
Right down here at the bottom.
So our activity today, down under resources, you click on that. You can even bookmark it, or go ahead and start making a copy of it, and then it gets saved into your other things. You're welcome, Amanda.
Yeah. And Amanda, I'm just going to show folks, to bookmark things. If you go back into the main landing page of the activity, there's this little plus sign. And if you click that, you can add it to a collection. You just add it to your bookmarks and it's there. And then that way you always have it. And then if you go back into the banners to your stuff, you have your collections here. Okay. So that will be saved for you. And there are lots of links, and I appreciate all the organization that Amplify offers us to keep things orderly. And I do want to say we still have about 5 minutes left, but if you haven't had a chance yet, please fill out the survey. That way we can send you the links. We really appreciate you spending your time with us. I know it's a work night. And
you also do get a certificate, I believe. So for those of you that are trying to prove evidence or credit of like continuing education hours, or some people, I know there's a district near me, they actually pay you to do things like this, so long as you can provide evidence and like kind of a reflective summary on it. They actually pay you for that.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really neat.
So I think we get a certificate.
I don't know. I know in the past there was, Kirsten, I don't know if you can speak to that now. I don't know if that's still an offer. I do know you get an email that acknowledges that you attended.
Okay.
Okay.
I will follow up on that. I'm not sure.
Okay. I think that was something in the past, Jed. I'm not sure how the certificates go nowadays, but you do get an acknowledgement that you did attend because it's
Okay.
you will get the resources. Oh,
Sorry
we've
if I
got,
misspoke there.
that's
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you, those of you
Thank
that
you.
did join us.
I hope you have a great evening. I hope you have a great week. And make sure you reach out to Amplify on Twitter, on Facebook, on Blue Sky. I'm over on Blue Sky. Come join us and come chat about math. Any last questions that we can help folks out with? We still have a bunch of folks here. I'm excited because tomorrow I'm doing a fun Amplify Classroom lesson about ratios. So my sixth graders love the activities. Okay, well, I appreciate all your evening and your time and your commitment to learning new things for your students. So I wish you all well, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Okay, take care.